Hello and welcome to the channel. Today we setting out on an in-depth scholarly journey into one of the most fascinating periods in Indian history, the Mughal-Maratha Wars. This series of conflicts, spanning from the late 17th to the early 18th century, not only reshaped the subcontinent's political and social landscape, but also laid the groundwork for modern India. In the next 10 minutes, we will delve into the origins of both powers, explore the underlying socio-political and economic dynamics, examine their military strategies, and discuss the enduring legacy of this struggle for supremacy. Let's begin our exploration into the turbulent world of Mughal and Maratha rivalry. To understand the Mughal-Maratha Wars, we must first set the stage with the two principal actors. On one side, the Mughal Empire, founded in the early 16th century, had grown into one of the largest and most sophisticated states of its time. With its centralized administration, elaborate court rituals, and advanced military organization, the Mughal state under emperors like Akbar, Jahangir, and Shah Jahan had already laid down the institutional foundations for a vast, multi-ethnic empire. By the time of Aurangzeb, however, expansion and administrative overreach began to stretch the empire's resources and provoke regional dissent. In the Deccan and western India, a new power was emerging among the Marathas. Initially a collection of local chieftains and warriors, the Maratha identity coalesced into a formidable resistance force as they mobilized under charismatic leaders like Shivaji. While the Mughals boasted a centralized bureaucracy and vast military resources, the Marathas capitalized on their agility, deep local roots, and innovative guerrilla tactics. This growing tension, fueled by administrative neglect in distant provinces and the inherent challenges of governing a vast, diverse empire, laid the groundwork for conflict. Contemporary chronicles, administrative records, and local oral histories provide a rich, albeit complex, mosaic of how these two forces came to define the struggle for power in India. The conflict between the Mughal Empire and the Marathas was not simply a matter of military might, it was also deeply rooted in socio-political and economic transformations that swept across the subcontinent. The Mughal administrative system, while remarkably sophisticated, began to show signs of strain by the late 17th century. The demands of a vast bureaucracy, the heavy taxation required to sustain a large standing army, and the challenges of integrating diverse ethnic and religious communities led to increasing regional discontent. Meanwhile, the Marathas exploited these fractures. Their rise was bolstered by a resilient, decentralized socio-political structure that favored local autonomy and collective decision-making. Their economy, rooted in agrarian production and regional trade, allowed them to mobilize resources quickly and adapt to the changing circumstances on the ground. In many ways, the Maratha resistance was as much about asserting local identity and administrative autonomy as it was about military confrontation. Historians note that the interplay between centralized imperial policies and emergent local governance structures set the stage for a prolonged, asymmetric warfare, a struggle where economic imperatives and socio-political resentments were as decisive as battlefield tactics. At the heart of the Mughal-Maratha Wars were contrasting military strategies that reflected the differing strengths of the two sides. The Mughal military machine, honed over centuries of empire building, was characterized by its large, well-organized armies, extensive use of artillery, and reliance on traditional battle formations. Under Aurangzeb's command, the Mughals deployed a mix of heavy cavalry, musketeers, and cannons, a force designed for conventional, set-piece battles against equally organized foes. However, the Marathas quickly demonstrated that conventional tactics were not always effective against a mobile, guerrilla-oriented enemy. Capitalizing on their intimate knowledge of the rugged terrain of the Deccan, the Marathas mastered hit-and-run tactics, ambushes, and scorched-earth strategies that disrupted the Mughal supply lines and sapped the empire's logistical strength. Their flexible command structure allowed for rapid decision-making, and local leaders, often semi-autonomous, could adapt strategies on the fly. Modern military historians emphasize that this asymmetry in warfare forced the Mughals to engage in protracted campaigns, sometimes far from their heartland, which stretched their resources thin and undermined morale. Furthermore, the use of fortified outposts, mobile cavalry units, and innovative communication methods allowed the Marathas to transform localized resistance into a sustained, strategic campaign. Contemporary accounts from Mughal court chronicles to Maratha ballads offer compelling evidence of how these tactical innovations redefined the nature of warfare in India. The battlefields became laboratories for military adaptation, where traditional imperial methods collided with emergent guerrilla techniques, ultimately altering the trajectory of the conflict. The Mughal-Maratha Wars had far-reaching consequences that extended well beyond the immediate battlefield. In the short term, the protracted conflict eroded the Mughal Empire's ability to maintain centralized control over its territories. Continuous warfare not only drained the imperial treasury but also fostered an environment of administrative decay and local rebellion. The eventual weakening of Mughal authority paved the way for the emergence of regional powers and set the stage for further fragmentation of the empire. For the Marathas, the wars were both a crucible and a catalyst. The prolonged struggle solidified their identity as a formidable power in India and laid the foundations for what would later become a significant political and military force in the 18th century. The administrative practices and military tactics developed during this period continued to influence subsequent state formation and resistance against external domination. Modern scholarship underscores that while the immediate military outcomes were mixed, the long-term legacy of the wars was the reshaping of Indian political order, transforming a centralized Mughal hegemony into a mosaic of competing regional polities. In essence, the Mughal-Maratha Wars were not merely clashes between armies. They were transformative episodes that redefined governance, military organization, and social structures across India. The legacy of these conflicts continues to be a subject of rich academic debate and offers invaluable insights into the dynamics of power, resistance, and state formation. In recent decades, historians have revisited the Mughal-Maratha Wars with fresh perspectives and new methodologies. Advances in archaeological research, critical re-examination of primary sources, and the integration of socio-economic analyses have all contributed to a more nuanced understanding of this prolonged struggle. No longer are the wars viewed solely as a binary conflict between an imperial behemoth and a rebellious force. They are now seen as a multifaceted struggle marked by fluid alliances, regional identities, and the interplay of local and imperial interests. Modern interpretations emphasize the transformative nature of the conflict not only as a military confrontation but also as a catalyst for socio-political change. The dynamism of the Maratha resistance, the administrative challenges of the Mughal state, and the emergence of hybrid military and governance models have reshaped our understanding of early modern India. This reassessment invites us to consider the complexities of power, the role of regional identities, and the enduring impact of conflict on state formation, thereby enriching our understanding of India's historical evolution. In conclusion, the Mughal-Maratha Wars represent a critical turning point in the history of India, a struggle where military innovation, socio-political transformation, and regional resilience intersected to redefine an empire. This deep academic exploration has aimed to unravel the layers of conflict that not only weakened one of history's greatest empires, but also set the stage for the emergence of new political orders on the subcontinent. Thank you for joining me on this scholarly journey through one of India's most complex historical periods. If you found this analysis enlightening, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. I'm eager to hear your perspectives on the interplay of imperial power and regional resistance. Until next time, may your pursuit of knowledge continue to be as relentless and transformative as the forces that shaped India.